This week has been the week where trade season has officially started to feel like it's approaching, with some huge rumors leaking and plenty of speculation following suit. With how tight everything is in the standings right now in both conferences, there will be a lot of teams actively looking to potentially add a piece that can take them to the next level, and as a result of this, Bleacher Report has once again put out an article to address all of this speculation, where they proposed a fresh batch of blockbuster trade offers that would help these teams accomplish just that. As always, I'll be going through each one of them, analyzing whether or not the trades make sense, why or why not the teams involved would want to do it, and who benefits the most from it if it were to happen. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first proposal from the article is between the Miami Heat and the Sacramento Kings, where the Heat received De'Aaron Fox in exchange for Terry Rozier, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Kel'el Ware, and a first-round pick. The Miami Heat were the ones I was kind of hinting at in the intro of this video, as breaking news came out that Jimmy Butler may be leaning towards wanting to be traded in the near future. His agent has come out and denied these claims though. However, this saga has been going on behind the scenes for a while, and where there's smoke, there's typically fire. While Jimmy very well could end up getting traded before the deadline, one way to get him back on board and sold on staying is for the Heat to go and acquire a certified star at a position of need, and De'Aaron Fox absolutely fits that bill. The Heat traded for Terry Rozier last season, but he's having a pretty underwhelming year, and he's not really a pure point guard either, so they could still use an upgrade. And Fox is having another unbelievable season, putting up 26 points and 6 assists per game this year. When the Kings have been at their best, it's been when they were pushing the pace, scoring at a historically great rate, like when they broke the NBA record for offensive rating 2 seasons ago, led by Fox of course, and Miami Heat currently play at the 3rd slowest pace in the whole league this season. Injecting an elite transition player like Fox into the mix could be the exact surge that they're looking for to get back to title contending ways, and from their end, this deal is an absolute home run. But where things may fall apart is when you look at it from the Kings' perspective. The Kings are currently in 12th place in the Western Conference standings, and if they're not able to get back on track soon, then the only possible reason they would have to trade Fox away would be if they were to choose to rebuild. The idea of them trading him away hoping to get a return that can keep them in the playoff mix is just silly, and while players like Terry Rozier and Jaime Jaquez are good for what they are, they're not realistic replacements for what Fox provides to the team. So with that then being the case, one single first-round pick is also just not enough to successfully acquire a player of Fox's caliber, especially when we've seen players of his caliber and even worse players be traded for packages including up to 5 first-round picks. The market is what it is, and even though the appeal for the Heat is obvious, this is not an offer that the Kings would realistically consider. The next proposal from the article is between the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves, where the Rockets received Julius Randle in exchange for Jabari Smith Jr., Steven Adams, Jeff Green, and a 2nd-round pick. The Rockets are having their breakout season, looking to not only make the playoffs for the first time since James Harden was traded away, but could also make some real noise as they currently sit in 2nd place in the Western Conference standings. If they keep this up as the trade deadline approaches, they should absolutely explore their options and try to find a trade that helps them go all in, because opportunities like this are never guaranteed, and they have a ton of depth to allow themselves to put together some big offers. On the flip side, the Wolves are hovering near the middle of the pack, struggling to re-find the form that they captured last season after a trip to the conference finals, and newcomer Julius Randle is experiencing some growing pains early on with his new team. The Wolves don't by any means seem locked into Randle as a part of their long-term plans, so he could absolutely get flipped again. And here, landing Jabari Smith Jr. to fit more into their defensive identity would definitely be a plus, while simultaneously betting on Smith's upside, after he was a top 3 pick in 2022 and is still just 21 years old. For the Rockets though, I do understand that they probably need another all-star caliber scorer in the mix, as the team is currently ranked in the bottom 1/3 of the NBA offensively and don't have a single guy averaging over 20 points per game, but I just don't think that Julius Randle is the player that fits into what they're looking for. As I said before, the Rockets are very much a group that share the ball well and get everyone involved, while going 11 deep in the rotation, and Randle, historically, can be a bit of a ball stopper who crumbles in the biggest moments. He's also on an expiring contract, so the idea of trading away Jabari Smith before his rookie contract is even up for a rental of Julius Randle is something that would absolutely come back to bite them in the long run if Randle were to leave in free agency this next summer. The next proposal from the article is between the Charlotte Hornets and the San Antonio Spurs, where the Spurs receive LaMelo Ball in exchange for Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, and 3 first-round picks. Last season, the Spurs' biggest problem was that they had no quality point guards on their roster that could reliably set Victor Wembanyama up for easy looks, which you wouldn't think would be a very difficult task, but the supporting cast last year clearly proved otherwise. This year, bringing in veteran and future Hall of Famer Chris Paul has been a breath of fresh air, because if there's one thing that Paul can still do at an elite level at his age, it's pass the rock and find the open man. Of course, Paul is 39 years old and clearly not a realistic long-term solution at the position, so they should start planning ahead to try to find that long-term solution, and LaMelo Ball would be a magical fit next to Wembanyama in the lineup. LaMelo has legitimately been taking a superstar leap this season, averaging 31 points and 7 assists per game. There have been times when it seemed like the Hornets were ready to take things to the next level, but 4 years into this rebuild, that is still just not quite happening, with them sitting in 13th place in the East at the moment. Eventually, teams come calling for every star player wasting away on a lowly team, and LaMelo's time could come soon if that's the case, and the Spurs are a terrific match, and this offer is also a step in the right direction. The players included are young and productive to an extent, and 3 first-round picks is close to what they would be looking for, but it may be just short of what would get something like this over the line. I like this as a starting framework for a trade that could go down, but the Spurs may need to add a tiny bit more to actually get it done and solidify an incredibly promising future. And finally, the last trade proposed in the article is between the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons, where the Pistons receive Zach LaVine in exchange for Isaiah Stewart, Tim Hardaway Jr., Simone Fontecchio, and a second-round pick. If this proposal came about in the offseason, it may have been something seriously considered, with how lowly LaVine was viewed in most circles around the league. He was coming off of surgery and one of the worst seasons he's had in a very long time, so LaVine's value tanked a bit. That, however, is no longer the reality, and the bargain, like this one, is no longer on the table. LaVine has bounced back from his injury flawlessly, returning to borderline all-star form this year, scoring more efficiently than he ever has in his career, shooting a career best from both the field and from 3, while putting up 22 points per game. He's going to be a hot commodity as the trade deadline approaches, and I'm sorry, but this offer is just not enough to land someone with the scoring talent that LaVine possesses. Cade Cunningham needs help scoring the basketball, and the Pistons are a bottom 5 offense still, even with the additions that they made this offseason, so the connection to LaVine does make sense, but it's laughable to think they wouldn't even have to include a single first-round pick in an offer for a player producing at the level that LaVine is right now. I understand LaVine's contract is not very desirable, and that has also played into his value tanking in the offseason, but he's shooting 50% from the field and 44% from 3 right now, which makes it a lot easier for a team trading for him to stomach. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these proposed trades. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.